welcome to the KB Michelle Green podcast. KB stands for Kingdom Builders. We have an enterprise of businesses by the name of Kingdom Builders. Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, Kingdom Builders Community Development Center, and Kingdom Builders Business University. If you are interested in any of our services, please reach out to our websites or give us a call. Thank you for listening. Today I want to share with you about a dream that I had with my mom. Still talking about this process of grieving, and many of you may be thinking, like, how does she have so much to say about her mother's passing? Why does she have so much to still talk about? Especially if you've never been through the process of someone that you're close to passing away. It can be a pretty tragic process of being on the other end of listening to someone who is going through this, and you're like, when are they going to get over it? When is it going to change? Will they ever be the person that they were? How can they not snap out of it? Even though that's not what the conversation was supposed to be about, I just feel like being led into a conversation about how people perspective may be of ones who are on the opposite end that have never really lost someone that they really cared for that deeply, or that may have just never experienced the love that one may have felt for the person who has passed that they have been close to. And that's okay. But I had a dream the other morning. I want to say it was Monday morning. I had a dream about my mom. And for some reason, we always have these dreams about, not when I say we, I didn't mean to say we. For some reason, I always have these dreams about my mom and I being in a single parent home where I was raised originally with my grandparents, but then at 17, my mom and I ventured out ourselves, and for a few years, it was just her and I. And so during that time, in my dreams, when I do dream about her, which is not very often, but when I have dreamed about her, even when she was living, the dreams would be always pertaining to this new house that we were moving to, because we moved a few times when we were together as just mom and daughter. And so we were in this dream, and we were moving to Africa. I don't know what's in Africa. I don't know where that whole idea came from, because I live in the United States and I've never been to Africa. But we were getting ready to change in our life, and it was as though she was coming with me. And I was just like, Mom, why not? We need a change. We need a fresh start. We had been in, seems like, a house that we owned together, and we were just going to move to Africa. And she decided at the last hour to come with me. I remember that in the dream, she was holding my hand, and I could still feel the presence of her holding my hand when I began to wake up. Furthermore, in the dream, it was as though we had to accept change. And when I actually did wake up in the dream and realized that my mom was not alive, I began to burst out in tears, and she grabbed my right arm and she held on to it. And as I woke up from the dream, I still felt like she was holding on to my arm. And it just was so real. It was very real. But I remember thinking in the dream, like, I'm in this dream, and it's like I felt her hand when we were holding hands. And it's like I felt her hands holding my arm or pulling me close to her to help her to get up from a chair or something. And we were just preparing to move. We were preparing for change. We were preparing for something to be different. And so I carry that on throughout the day. I usually get up in the mornings. If it's a weekday, I take my son to school and I come back home and I pray. And I usually have a 4-hour session, 3 to 4 hours of not necessarily always just strictly praying, but I go into a time period where I am either reading or I'm worshiping or I'm praying physically or I'm writing. And as I was actually praying, it was just feeling like, it was so overwhelming to wake up from that dream and feel her presence and know that, she's not really here on earth anymore. So it threw me so badly that my prayer time, it was cut short. And it was cut short because I was really upset about my mom not being here. And I was like, God, please help me, because I don't know what it is that I can't get past. Why am I still grieving my mom as though I just found out she passed away? Or am I angry about something? Am I upset about something? Is it like, why can't I just accept that she's no longer here? And so I thought about myself, and I thought about others that are listening to this podcast. And I thought about so many millions of people that have lost someone, and they have this feeling like they just cannot make the shift. They can't make the change because they can't accept something different and new. I really don't know what the meaning was for my mom and I to go to Africa in the dream that I had, because I've never lived in another continent, on another continent. I've never lived in another country. And it just kind of, it was shocking. But I was very willing in the dream to go. And at first she didn't want to go, but then she decided that she would come. And it was just her and I. It wasn't me being married. It wasn't me having any children. It wasn't having any grandchildren. It wasn't me having any of the relationships that I currently have, and not even doing the work that I currently do. It was just as though the world was just her and I making a decision that we would move to a new home, and we would start fresh, and we would adapt to change, that we were willing to go forward with the change. And so what I got from that is that when we lose a loved one, I think where many of us get stuck is that we don't accept the change. We don't accept the change that the person is no longer with us. So we cultivate our lifestyle around a pretend lifestyle that they are really still here. We start holding on to the clothes that they had. We hold on to the shoes that they had. We hold on to the houses, the cars. We hold on to whatever we can to help us to accept that we aren't going to accept that they are gone. Some of us, we don't actually, we can't move past it, because moving past it means that we really have to forgive ourselves and to forgive others. I actually went to visit a couple of weeks ago. I went to visit my mom's grave, and I also, when I visit, I go to her house. And in doing so, I just sat in her home and I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know how I'm going to clean out this house. I don't know how I'm going to do it, because I keep looking at the house as my mom's house. But an actual reality is that it's not her house anymore. And the reason why it's not her house is because she's not here. And as long as, when I sat there, as long as I don't accept that she's gone, number one, and number two, as long as I sit and think it's my mother's house, it's my mother's clothes, it's my mother's shoes, it's my mother's car, it's my mother's stuff, as long as I keep thinking from that angle, I really don't think that I'll be able to go very far forward to accept the change that has taken place in my life. I think that many of us are really angry by the fact that change has happened and we are forced to adapt to the changes. But I had to ask God, like, God, what is really going on? So today, when I was in my prayer time this morning, I asked God again, about this whole process. And I began to realize that the truth be told is that there was unforgiveness. There was a mindset of just not letting go. And when I say forgiveness, a lot of times when people leave here, we get angry at them. We feel like we want to, be mad with them for leaving us. We want to be angry because things are not the way that they used to be. We want to be upset, and sometimes we carry that on and on and on throughout our life. And that is not something that is healthy for us to do, but we do it anyway. And the problem with that is we can't really change or adapt to change when we just want to pretend that reality didn't happen. So it causes an internal sickness. It causes an internal unforgiveness of ourselves for the person that we lost. In addition to the person that we lost, there is some form of bitterness, there is some form of anger, there is some form of even hatred towards the person. And this may be shocking for some people to really accept. We have to accept the truth. And in doing so, we can be set free. But if we aren't truthful about what it is that we are experiencing, yes, I'm very angry, even now as I think about it. one of the reasons why I probably cry so much every day is because I'm angry that my mom didn't take better care of her body. You know, then there's the other part of the process that I'm also upset because I am a little afraid that the same thing may happen to me. So I began to realize as I was writing yesterday in my prayer time, and as I was actually just talking to God today, I began to realize that we gotta learn in this process of losing someone that we love. We have to learn how to forgive ourselves, and we have to learn how to forgive those who have passed away. Yes, they may have left us alone. Some of us are in scenarios that because of the person's death, we were left in a very bad state. We don't know how to move forward. We are stuck. We are just going through life and we're not really living. And so I want to say to that, we have to begin to tell the truth. We have to adapt to change, just like in the dream that I had of my mom and I moving to Africa. We have to pick up the pieces for where we actually are and begin to use what we got so that we can begin to live again. We have to get to a place where the change is accepted. And though we miss them tremendously, and though, we love them so deeply, and though our lives have significantly changed since they left here because it was time. They left here regardless of how they left. They're not here anymore. And we have to learn to accept, how do we live in a new space, in a new time in life without them? The only way we can do that is by accepting the change. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. I know that forgiveness of oneself and especially to others is a 7 times 70 process. That's 490 times a day that we are to forgive ourselves and others. So if you're ready to make changes in your life, then let's be honest about what we really feel. Are we angry? Are we upset? Are we scared that the same thing that happened to them is going to happen to us? And once we are truthful about what our fear is, what it is that we are angry about and bitter about, and how we even may want to get revenge, then the change can come. Thank you for listening.